A voice you hear often on the afternoon show. He's with us on the midday show, Mike Mayock. Mike, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, fellas. How you doing?
Pretty good. Mike, got to ask you right out the gate.
Here we go, right? welcome to Philly,
Let's
boys.
go. No beating around the bush.
You and Spike Esther
you know where I grew up? You know where I grew up? I grew up in Overbrook, in West Philadelphia. And I'm not surprised at all that you're just jumping in. Go ahead, brother.
No, I was just asking, what's up with you and Spike, man? Y'all got beef?
No, why?
No, I'm just asking.
We love the tension sometimes when you call in their show. The back and forth. I love it.
So I think Spike is really good at what he does, okay? And I think he's well-spoken, but Spike has an agenda.
Get that for a drop, please. We need that. It's a great line.
And I've done a lot of media in my life, okay, for 20-some years now.
You've dealt with AB. You've dealt with Antonio Brown.
Yeah, but let's not put them in the same category.
They have to be different.
Let me tell you something. When you go to your first training camp as a general manager, and the guy you just signed to like a $30 million contract shows up in a helicopter in the Napa Valley with 2 burned feet from a cryogenic chamber.
I didn't mean to traumatize
France.
You, Mike. I'm sorry.
I see it in his eyes. You brought back those memories.
And wouldn't wear a helmet and wouldn't practice. They're two, like him and Spike are 2 different things, man.
I remember that. You did a great job of having the poker face on television, though.
Dude, let me tell you something. We ended up nullifying his contract, his guarantees. And as you know, the whole key to being an NFL player is how much your contract is guaranteed. That's the whole deal. And he had close to $30 million in guarantees, and he left training. Aside from not practicing, he left training camp to go home without asking for permission. And finally, we wrote him a letter that basically said, you're done, guarantees are nullified. And that's when he went off on me on the practice field.
Man.
Anyway, how we doing, fellas?
We're good. All right. Let's talk about the Eagles. Let's talk about your thoughts on what's going on here. All right, Mike, what's going on with Jalen Hurts? Let's just ask it that way. Because he has been a good quarterback in the league for years now. But it feels to me like the last few weeks, is regressing a fair word? Is that not fair? Is it a slump? Like, what do you see when you watch him? Because this is probably the worst 5-week stretch I can remember maybe since his first year, which we gave grace to, right? He was a first-year quarterback. Like, for a guy his stage in the NFL, what he's accomplished, to me it's a pretty alarming slump if that's what it is.
No, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going slump. In my mind, I've watched so much of his tape going back to college. I feel like I know who he is as a player. Okay, I interviewed him at the Combine. I love the kid. What frustrates me in Philly, and I don't know what you guys said back in the summer, I have no idea, but there was a bunch of radio hosts all upset that he was, quote, only the 6th-ranked quarterback in some ESPN poll, right? And guys were screaming and yelling about it. Why is he's higher than that? He's the Super Bowl champ. To me, he's always been like somewhere between about 6 and 12. That's who he is. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be a franchise quarterback like Lamar and Burrow and the guy in Buffalo and that's not who he is. And if you ask him to be Matthew Stafford and throw with anticipation in the pocket, he's never going to be that. But Matthew Stafford's not going to be him. Jalen has other attributes, starting with his legs. By the way, both of them each have 1 Super Bowl win. Okay, so it's not like you can't get it done in different fashions. So when I see what's going on with the offense now, I don't jump up and down as much as most people because basically the coach's job is to get the most out of their quarterback. Right, and last year a lot of that pressure was taken off by Saquon in the run game. All of a sudden, Saquon's running for 180 every game, and it's easier to throw the ball out. All those things happen. This year's a little different. Okay, he had an awful game the other day, and my problem with it was the decision making more than the throws. Okay, I thought it was an awful decision in overtime. I thought the first pick was an awful decision. He threw it to AJ, who was literally the only guy double teamed in the whole progression. Okay, so it wasn't a bad throw, but he threw it right into the defensive tackle's chest.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right? It was a decision. So I go through this every week, and that to me that was, and we'll find out next few weeks, to me that was an aberration. So I hate to tell you this, guys, because I think it's going to be ugly, but if the Eagles want to get back to another Super Bowl, I think it's going to look more like the Detroit and Green Bay games. where they kind of won on defense and special teams, and the way they do it, and Hugh's getting mad here. I can see him.
Oh no, I'm not, because I'm trying to get you to school them, because I've
You're
been telling
preaching
them
what
this.
he's saying.
I've been telling them this for weeks.
Okay, so I think it's going to be kind of a narrow margin for victory, and if you have an aberration like a 5-turnover game, it's all over in the playoffs.
Yeah, and like I was telling them, Mike, like to expect with the talent that this team has, to expect them to go out and score 28, 30 points a game, right now that doesn't feel like that's realistic. The best thing that they can do, and they did a little bit of that last week, and this is how I saw it, and I wonder if you saw it the same way, try to control the clock as much as you can. You know, try to score whenever you get, like take the 3, take the points that you can get, and allow your defense to play the way that they've been playing.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving Day game against Chicago, I thought was an aberration for the defense, right? And they got gutted. It was an ugly tape. They got gutted. But I'm a believer in Vic Fangio. I'm a believer in the talent they have on defense. And the way I look at it is that, Hugh, that's how you got to win games right now. I mean, the problem is they haven't been able to run the football. Now, I thought there was a glimmer of hope last week. As ugly as that game was, they ran the ball. Saquon averaged, 6 yards a carry. The offense averaged over 5 yards a carry. Had a 52-yard touchdown. So he had an 18-yard. I mean, so there were some. Watching that tape from the end zone angle, you could see some good things happening. But let's face it now. That offensive line's different than it was a year ago. That's my big thing. And Stoutland's one of the best coaches I've ever been around. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's coaching, but Lane Johnson's out. Fred Johnson's a solid player, but there's a reason he's a swing tackle and not a starting tackle in the NFL. It's a step down from Lane Johnson, a Hall of Famer. That left guard, Dickerson, I think he's been hurt since week 1.
Yeah.
And I think he's a warrior. I think he's playing every week beat up, okay? And I think some other guys are too. So I don't think they're playing at the level, and I think other teams schematically are taking away. They're dropping safeties so fast and doing things to take away the run game. So to Hugh's point, I think you hit it right on the head, man. They got to win 22-19 instead of lose 22-19.
You mentioned the coaching, offensive coaching this year. When you watch it, because we get before this week's been open season on Jalen Hurts, right? He had the 5-pick game. But before this, most of the criticism we hear is Patullo stinks. The offensive scheme stinks. When you watch it, is that fair? Is that crazy? Like, do you think they're a well-coached team on offense and it's just things are going wrong between injuries and the players and whatever? Or do you see some issues with the scheme as well?
So I'm a former defensive back, okay? I wasn't any good. I didn't last as long as you. It's just a few years in the league. I look at things from a pass game perspective. How difficult do you make it on the linebackers and the defensive backs? Okay? And the teams that cause a lot of problems, pick a team, the Rams, right? You never know where Puka Nacua is going to line up. Right. They're in tight bunches and rubs and they're running mesh concepts. They're running traffic jams. The way to explain it to people at home is it's effectively a traffic jam. And if you're a defensive back trying to cover a tight bunch that in man coverage, right, that's a problem because they're crossing all over the place. It's a traffic jam. So the Eagles don't do anywhere near as much of the motions, bunches. They'll do some 2x2s where it's a stack on the outside. It's a little bit of a rub, but I'd like to see more of that. The play they ran last week on 3rd and 15 or 16 in the fourth quarter where they hit Smitty on an in route, really good concept. The ball was thrown on time, maybe even early, and gave Smitty a chance to run with the ball. I love that. But the bottom line is that they're a fairly simple schematic team offensively in the pass game, and that's who they are.
All right, Mike Mayock with us here. We are live at Radio Row in Baltimore. Mike, before we ask you about the game, because we know you're doing the game tomorrow, and you've done these for a few years, NFC, this is as good as I can remember it. This feels like a really good conference to where like the Eagles have their path to get to a 2 or 3 seed with the division.
Yep.
How do you view the top right now? The Rams in Seattle, they're jockeying for position, and it's going to be one of them probably the 1 seed, the other one has a 5. Green Bay, Chicago, that game was awesome on Sunday. How do you view the top of the NFC right now?
I look at it now like it's kind of the NFC North and the NFC West, and the Eagles is kind of a wild card, and out West, I'm blown away by how well coached the Rams are. They got this young defensive front, Jared Verse and a couple of those dudes. They're dudes, okay? Jared Verse, when I watched his first tape in college, he was coming out of tiny Albany College and transferred to LSU. His first tape reminded me of Hugh Douglas, like a young Hugh Douglas. Like he was just a power-based, explosive dude. So I'm a Rams fan. I saw Seattle on tape the other day, and I was like, wow, that's a little different than I thought they were. What are they? Both 10-3, I think. San Francisco's 9-4. Think about it, right? So trying to win that division is going to be all the way to the final day. And then you go to the NFC North, and Detroit's beat up on defense. I mean, they put 44 on Dallas 2 weeks ago. I mean, offensively, they're a juggernaut, but can they stop anybody? And they just lost their best defensive back, Brian Branch. So I don't know what Detroit's going to do, but Green Bay, they're looking legit. For me, that comes down to the quarterback. If he plays at a consistently high level, they're legit. And Chicago, I look at them, I think they're really well coached by Dennis Allen on defense, but I think they're 1 year away from being a legitimate Super Bowl team. But they're the teams I like in the NFC.
Yeah, it's going to be, to get through the NFC, it's going to be a gauntlet. Mike, we appreciate you hopping on. And tomorrow you're doing the game on radio?
Oh, man.
What is it like doing a game like this?
It's not even the game. It's before and after the game. Before the game, they have the walk-on with all the cadets, then the flyover. And I hate to say it, but I get choked up just watching that stuff happen. And then after the game, when they both walk down to the end zone and sing the alma mater with their arms around each other, both teams. And you know that someday they might be fighting for us. You know, they played the game and they beat the crap out of each other that day, but going forward, they could be fighting for us. Those things choke me up.
Yeah, it's an amazing event every single year. Mike, we appreciate you hopping on. Enjoy tomorrow, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
There he goes.
Appreciate
Mike Mayock with us there.
Yeah, thanks.
On the Midday Show.